Well, hello there, Professor. How are we tonight?
Low expectations, I hope.
Oh, really?
Yes,
You gonna slack?
I'm dropping the bar. That's all I got to say.
Okay. Is
Uh,
that what we're talking about?
uh,
Something about the boss is expecting too much,
well,
or somebody is expecting
what
much?
are you expecting tonight? Uh, 15 minutes or less, right?
Can you do it? Can you
Can
do
you
it?
do it? Yes, we're going to talk about what I would call unrealistic expectations. Um, for the professors tonight, or the masters, I'll be presenting to them that in this world in which we live, it seems like the bar is always being constantly raised. We're going to be looking, from my perspective, at an individual. It's last day of the week, Friday. They're fixing to head to Ocean City. Oh, oceanfront property. And the boss turns around, it's a quarter till 5. They're just getting things all finished up on the report. You get this Zoom ring. Oh, my goodness. It's the boss. Should we answer? Well, of course you do. It's the boss. Well, the boss turns around and says, well, need another chapter on it. That's what corporate wants, the higher ups. And so you tell them, you'll put a couple of bullet points. I've been there before, and you have too. And they turn around and say, nope, not enough. We need a thoroughly vetted chapter. And don't worry, we don't need it until Monday at 8 o'clock, so you'll have plenty of time over the weekend to do it. And the answer is, what do you do? Well, I'll deal that with them when we talk with them later.
Okay. Looking forward to it.
But tonight, for this aspect of it, is we're going to look at our personal unrealistic expectations. I'm not necessarily going to approach it as a boss, but it works that way. So I'll lean in on it on that a little bit, but also just as a human being, how we have unrealistic expectations in all of our relationships. And whether that's colleague to colleague, boss, boss to colleague, or even among our partnerships that we have. And if you think about it, we all have in our minds what we expect, but sometimes we don't share that with people accordingly. Or maybe because we mentioned it, the last 15 times, we think that they should have gotten it, take the garbage out or something, and they still forget. But the answer is, do we have those same expectations on ourselves? And typically, no, because I'm perfect. I don't know about, oh, I'm sorry. We all think, that we've got it down. But, how many times have I said to myself, you laid your keys here? I'm telling myself that, that's where they're going to be. And when I go back, they're not there. Well, somebody else must have taken it. Well, the answer was I moved because I figured out, oh, no, I turned around and, moved into the kitchen. They're not sitting there on the table anymore. But we're going to talk about some people that went a little bit further that were covered in the Bible. And we're going to talk about 4 different people in the Bible who had unrealistic expectations. And the issue becomes, in their expectations, they were founded, as most of us are, in this particular world. And they weren't thinking about having their expectations put in God instead. And so these are 4 different instances that happen in the Bible, and I hope that it may help you a little bit to rethink about your expectations and where you, as we say, put your faith. So we're going to start off with a lame man that was recorded in the book of Acts. Peter and John, they were coming up to the temple. There was an individual, a lame man, that was sitting there. Apparently, friends brought him there every day. And so, as people were going into the temple, he would ask for alms, as they say, coins. And so, of course, the man was expecting, Peter and John to give him coins. And so Peter turned around and he said to him, he said, "Sir, I don't have any silver and gold. I don't have any coins to give you. But what I do have to give you," he said, "I will give it all to you." You're like, "Oh, wow, what's this going to be? A horse, donkey? What you going to give to me?" Well, the answer was, Peter said, "Arise and walk." Reached out to him, right hand, grabbed him, and the man came right up. Legs and ankles were healed. He could walk, and he walked right into the temple with him. Well, of course, he was praising God, but the key to it is his expectation, the man was, based on what I would say here on earth, that someone was going to give him a coin when they passed by. And the answer was he should have had a little bit more faith, because what Peter actually gave him was the ability now to walk again. Now, I'm not saying that someone who's begging for alms here, but I'm just giving you some examples where we put our faith in what's happening in the world, and we're not thinking about putting our faith in God. And not to the point saying that if he put his faith in God, he wouldn't be lame anymore. I'm just giving some examples so when we come back and think about where we are our expectations realistic or were they not realistic? And I understand the man, asking for coinage. He needed to feed himself, and that was the only way since he was not able to work. So we're going to another one that was a lame man. And this gentleman was by the pool of Bathsheba. Uh, Apparently, the individual had been lame for 38 years. He's sitting next to the pool. And the other people that were around him, they were sick, blind, withered, as the Bible said, so odor, etc. So, anyway, as he had been brought there as well, they had this little superstition that when the waters of the pool kind of, become a little turmoil, that, oh, you could be healed if you got in there. And so he turned around and Jesus asked him, he said, what would you need to make you whole? And he says, well, the water's here when they do that twirling or whatever. I'm trying to get in there, but no one would help me. In fact, another person just steps right in front of me, so I can't get in there before the water starts twirling. And Jesus said to him, look, just arise, take up your bed, walk. And of course, the individual did. So here we are. We have a second miracle. He's praising Jesus. But his expectation was twofold. One, that men would help him get into the pool. Another, he had a superstition that the twirling waters, when they happen, that again, he would be able to be healed. The third one's going to be the woman at the well. This was an interaction between Jesus and also this young lady who was at Jacob's well, Jacob's well that he had built, of course, many years before. And Jesus was tired when he passed by, and so he sat there at the well. The lady from who is a Samaria, came by, and she's getting water. And so Jesus said, would you please get me some water? And she's like, well, why are you wanting me to do it? I'm a Samaritan. You Jews don't even talk to us. And Jesus, he's tired, but he said, if you knew who I was, you would be asking me to give you water that you would never thirst after having. And she's like, well, what is this water? Are you greater than Jacob who built this well? And he tells her, that the answer is, what I give is everlasting. And she says, finally, she says, I want some. And he said, you that are here on this earth do not know where you're putting your hearts, so to speak. You're putting it in the faith of man. You're not putting it in the God. But a time will come when those who believe will have all their faith in God. There was one other exchange that he had with her, and he told her to go get her husband and bring him back. And a little bit off key here, as far as it doesn't follow my story exactly, but just to share with you, is that she said, I don't have a husband. And he said, you're right when you said that, because you've had 5 husbands, and the man who's living with you now is not your husband. So she didn't run off and get him. But I will say, in the end, when she realized that he was the Messiah, that she took off running and she's telling everybody, of course, they all came back as well. But she realized where she needed to put her faith. Again, it's not in man who is going to take care of her next. I'm sure she was concerned about that, but she needed Jesus. She needed to put her mind with him because the second coming, so to speak, is where she needed to be looking at. My last story, and I know I'm running through these pretty good. It's 8 after. I'm looking well. Deals with the woman who was bleeding. She apparently had this problem where she had been bleeding for many, many years. She had put her faith in all the physicians and the medicines that they had and the techniques, but it failed her. It failed her to the sense that she spent all of her money and she just about broke. And she heard, though, that Jesus was coming through town. So, in doing so, she ran down there to see Jesus. And when Jesus passed by, she thought, if I just touch him, just touch his garment, I'm going to be healed. Well, needless to say, she had her mind right. Because when she touched him, her body was healed immediately. Bleeding stopped. That plague was gone from her. But Jesus says, who touched me? And of course, the apostles were like, oh, these people around you, what do you mean, who touched you? But he felt the power leave him. And of course, she was scared. But she came up to him, she said, Lord, I'm the one who touched you, is what pretty much happened. And he said, well, you're healed. Go in peace. And the point I'm trying to make here is that whether we have bad knees as I do now, as I've gotten older with arthritis, we're going to get those fixed though. Whether we might have different diseases that have affected our body, this is only a short-term place. Trying to put our faith in man and what we see here. And we can even go to the point, well, do we have enough money to make it? Are we having struggles because we don't know when we're going to die and we don't want to die? Well, the answer to this is that we all are going to die. We're all going to have struggles, but we need to put our faith in what's going to come. And I've mentioned to you before, my greatest day that I worry about is the day I die. What am I going to be doing? And what have I done? What have I been doing the last few days before? Because I want to be sure my heart's right. Not that I expect, that God better take me into heaven, because that's not my decision. I'm going to try to live the best that I can, but I want to know that I gave something to help others, that I did something that maybe made a change in their lives so they're looking for Him in the end. So if I'm guessing, I'm probably about 11 after. But folks, don't be discouraged. When a boss turns around and has some unrealistic expectations, you might want to listen to the podcast later, because we're going to follow the Jesus rule. Jesus gave us a wonderful example. And those who don't attend, think about Pilate. Go back and read about Jesus' interaction with Pilate, because he brought Pilate to a different level in how he treated Pilate. Dignity, but he was firm, he was fair, and he answered the questions. I'm done now.
I'm excited to hear this.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, thank you for those stories. They were very interesting. And yes, we do get caught up in what's going on here, because I guess we're living in it. So it's tough. But yeah, we got to look outside of that and look what's coming and who is there that we need to work for real.
I hope she caught, folks, if the trash at the office, if she thinks it's a little full and, they haven't gotten to it, he wants me to take it. But she doesn't say, I've told you 1,000 times, when this thing's a little heavy, I want you to get it out of here.
I try not to do that.
And maybe I bought something here. That's all I got, boss.
Yeah, let's be nice to each other.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us.
Bye, everyone.